I saved $516.73 on the totality of 30 books. Hey, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Cam, and I'm glad you're here. This time I'm doing an audiobook haul. I've done a couple of like little mini physical book hauls lately, sometimes only 2 or 3 books at a time. But I have been going crazy buying audiobooks. So many audiobooks. I use a service called Chirp. This is not an advertisement. I'm not affiliated with them in any way, but I do absolutely love their service because they have crazy good sales on audiobooks, and they send you daily emails to tell you what's on sale, and they can include anything that you have wish listed, so they'll tell you exactly when what you want is on sale. So I thought I would go through the purchases that I've made since my video from February on audiobooks that I had purchased, my audiobook library tour basically. So that included Chirp, that included Audible, and that included what I had checked out and or read already in Libby. So today I'm going to just go through what I've bought in Chirp. I don't really think I've spent any credits on anything else in Audible really. So yeah, let's get started. Also, just ignore my hair. I'm trying to ignore my hair. I don't know what's going on, but we're gonna do the best we can. Okay, so the first 3 books that I bought are House of Sand and Fog. That is about, I thought this was like a horror story. I've heard the name of this for a very long time. Apparently this is not a horror story, but it still sounded interesting. In this page turner with a beating heart, a recovering alcoholic and addict down on her luck struggles to hold on to her home in California. But this becomes contested territory when a recent immigrant from the Middle East, a former colonel in the Iranian Air Force, becomes determined to restore his family's dignity through buying the house. When the woman's lover, a married cop, intervenes, he goes to extremes to win her love. Andre Dubus the third's unforgettable characters, people with ordinary flaws looking for a small piece of ground to stand on, careen toward inevitable conflict. An affecting, subtle portrait of 2 hostile but equally fragile camps. Their tragedy paints a shockingly true picture of the country we still live in today, 2 decades after this book's first publication. So this definitely sounds like a more mild, slow kind of book than what I had kind of thought that it was. But I do think it's going to talk about some themes that I'm interested in. Immigration, belonging, ownership of land, the right to land. Yeah, I think this is going to be interesting. And then the next one is A Tall History of Sugar by Cordella Forbes. This one, a lot of these, I will say, I only know about because I saw them in Chirp. These are not books that I necessarily would have like gone out of my way to like look for and buy. But if a book sounds interesting to me, when I get the notification emails, I'll go and look up the book. So yeah, that was definitely these first 2. So A Tall History of Sugar tells the story of Moshe Fisher, a man who was born without skin so that no one is able to tell what race he belongs to. And Ariane Christie, a quixotic soulmate who makes it her duty in life to protect Moshe from the social and emotional consequences of his strange appearance. It begins in the 1950s, before Jamaica's independence from colonial rule, and ends in the era of what Forbes calls the fall of empire, which is the era of Brexit and Donald Trump. So this is a very recently set novel, which I think is really interesting because I do tend towards classics. So I don't really read a lot of books that are set very modern day. The historical trajectory layers but never quite overwhelms the scintillating love stories. The pair fight to establish their own view of loving against the moral force of the colonial plantation and its legacies that continue to affect their lives and all those around them. And then the last one that I got in this is Electra by Jennifer Saint. Now, I really like Greek mythology. I've liked it since I was a kid. I don't remember when I started really reading Greek mythology, but I fell in love last year with Madeline Miller's Circe, and I have been looking for Circe vibe books ever since. And so I read Pat Barker's The Silence of the Girls. I thought that was really, really good. And I'm still looking for like Greek mythology, Greek retellings, but not necessarily retellings in like a modern sense, like a true Greek mythology retelling or kind of re-enlivening. This does have a pretty good rating on Goodreads, so I am excited to read this. And this is obviously about the story of Electra, which is a pretty famous Greek myth, so I'm not really going to get into it too much. And you can see I had 3 books that I paid $12.97 for, so that's pretty good. Okay, so the next ones are 2 from Agatha Christie, The Mirror Cracked from Side to Side and Sleeping Murder. I'm not going to go into the plots of the Agatha Christie novels because it's Agatha Christie. It's a murder mystery. Daughters of Smoke and Fire. This is really highly rated on Goodreads as well. This is a 4.26 average rating out of 1,400 reviews. That's pretty good. So this is set in Iran. It is a debut novel, and it takes readers into the everyday life of the Kurds. Layla dreams of making films to bring the suppressed stories of her people onto the global stage, but obstacles keep piling up. Layla's younger brother, Chia, influenced by their father's past torture, imprisonment, and his deep-seated desire for justice, begins to engage with social and political affairs. But his activism grows increasingly risky, and one day he disappears in Tehran. Seeking answers for her brother's whereabouts, Layla fears the worst and begins a campaign to save him. But when she publishes Chia's writings online, she finds herself in grave danger as well. Daughters of Smoke and Fire is an evocative portrait of the lives and stakes faced by 40 million stateless Kurds, and a powerful story that brilliantly illuminates the meaning of identity and the complex bonds of family. So I don't know too much about the Kurdish people, and I'm really hoping that I get a lot out of this book about the people, about their culture, about what's important to them culturally, family ties, and to see the experience of what they're going through. So that is why I picked this one up. The next that I have is The Great Gatsby. It doesn't need any explanation. I have read it multiple times. I do love it. The reason that I picked it up is because it was on sale for $1.99. And then whenever I get ready to do a reread, I may just want to listen to it versus rereading it physically. So I thought for $2, I'm going to pick up the audiobook. And then finally in this round, I got The Oresteia by Aeschylus. And I got it because it was only 99 cents. So this is a Greek tragedy by Aeschylus. And this is the story of Agamemnon after, well, his wife murders him. But what happens after his wife murders him? Plus, I think this has like 2 other main stories in the overarching story. If I'm not mistaken, I've never actually read this one. What really intrigued me is that because this is a play, this is narrated by a full cast. So I have a full cast narration audiobook of a classic Greek tragedy for $1. So I was happy about that. So this is, let's see, I have 5 books for $15.95. Next, I have The Essex Serpent by Sarah Perry. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. Tom Hiddleston is on the cover, and that is a big reason I was interested in this book. I'm not much for like celebrity crushes, but I do adore Tom Hiddleston, mostly as Loki, because I have a type. But I do think he's a really good actor, and I think he takes on interesting projects. And so if he wanted to do this as a project, I was like, okay, then I'm interested in reading about the book. So also the rest of the cover is just very, very interesting. I really like the aesthetic of the cover, and I like the title. So I did look it up, and this is moving between Essex and London. Myth and Modernity, Cora Seaborn's spirited search for the Essex serpent encourages all around her to test their allegiance to faith or reason in an age of rapid scientific advancement. At the same time, the novel explores the boundaries of love and friendship and the allegiances that we have to one another. The depth of feeling that the inhabitants of Aldwinter share are matched by their city counterparts as they strive to find the courage to express and understand their deepest desires and strongest fears. So I guess like she's on a scientific expedition for a gigantic snake, and I think whoever Tom Hiddleston plays, I think is a local priest in the area that she goes to. And he's like, this is a myth, it's not a real thing. But I think he ends up like helping her look for it. I think that I'm getting this from a different synopsis that I read somewhere. I could be completely misremembering. So if you want to know what it is, look it up yourself probably to be safe. Next, I have actually 3 in this from Khalil Gibran. This is Khalil Gibran's Little Book of Secrets, Little Book of Love, and then I also got Little Book of Wisdom. I believe this is a curated collection of works by Khalil Gibran. I have read Khalil Gibran before. I've read The Prophet. Have I read anything else from him? I think I read 2 different versions of The Prophet. I don't know if they were different translations or if they were actually written. No, I think I'm mixing it up with something else. Anyway, I know for sure I've read The Prophet. I really like Gibran's writing. I think it's absolutely beautiful, and I love the depth in his works. He can use so few words and deliver such a powerful experience in reading it, and you can dig into him because his words can be so layered. You can get the surface meaning, you can get the layer below that, and the layer below that, and the layer below that. So I really, really like Gibran's work. So for $1.99, $2.99, and $2.99, I was happy to pick up some narrations. I also think his work is perfect for audio narration. Sometimes, and it's not necessarily that it is poetry. He does write poetry, but he also writes stories. But his writing is so poetic that having it read out loud and listening to it, I think is going to be a very interesting and very pleasurable experience. I got The Autumn of the Patriarch by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. Don't let this on the screen fool you. It is not also written by Gregory Rabassa. It was translated by Gregory Rabassa. I don't know why it credits him as a writer. I kind of get it, but to me, when you're translating as a reader. You are reading the work, you're pulling the meaning from it, you're getting the essence of it, and you're translating it into another language with the same essence. But you're doing that as the reader, interpreting it and understanding it. You're not doing that as a writer. Semantics aside, I got this because it was Gabriel Garcia Marquez and it was $2.99. I have not read him yet, but I purchased 100 Years of Solitude because I am dying to read that book. Everybody seems to absolutely love it, and it's something that sounds like something I'm going to love. But I also want to read some of his other work. So I know The Autumn of the Patriarch, Love in the Time of Cholera are 2 others of his that I'm aware of. So I couldn't pass this up when it was on sale. So the synopsis is: from charity to deceit, benevolence to violence, fear of God to extreme cruelty, the dictator of The Autumn of the Patriarch embodies the best but also the worst of human nature. Marquez, the renowned master of magical realism, vividly portrays the dying tyrant caught in the prison of his own dictatorship. In employing an innovative dreamlike style and overflowing with symbolic descriptions, the novel transports the reader to a world that is at once fanciful and vividly real. I love books that have opposing imagery, opposing themes, the dichotomy of things. So this actually sounds like it's going to be really good. Okay, so next I have Edgar Allan Poe, The Complete Collection. I love Edgar Allan Poe. I've read a lot of his work. One of my all-time favorite stories is the only novel that he ever wrote, which is the narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym of Nantucket, which is a story about a guy on a ship. I love stories on ships. I don't know what it is, but I've always loved them. So I thought to be able to have an audiobook of Poe whenever I want, excellent. Next, I have The Temps. This is one that I just came across in Chirp. The blurb is they're underemployed, underpaid, and trying to survive at the end of the world while trapped inside an office complex. Who knew temp work could be this dangerous? Can we be honest that everybody who works in an office feels like this? Jacob Elliott doesn't want a temporary job in the mailroom at Delphi Enterprises, but after two post-college years of unpaid internships and living in his parents' basement, he needs the work. Then, on his first day, the unthinkable happens. Toxic gas descends on a meeting in Delphi's outer amphitheater, killing all the regular employees and leaving Jacob stranded inside the vast office complex. Wandering through Delphi headquarters, Jacob finds other survivors. Lauren, the disillusioned classics major who's now writing online personality quizzes. Swati, the fitness instructor trying to escape a toxic relationship. And Dominic, the business school student who will do almost anything to get ahead. Stranded in the wreckage of the company that employed them, the temps band together to create a miniature world that's part spring break, part office culture, until a shocking discovery disrupts the survivors' self-made paradise and drives them to uncover the truth about the mysterious corporation that employed them and the apocalypse that brought their world to an end. A surprising, profound tribute to the absurdities and paranoia of modern life, The Temps is an epic exploration of survival and human connection in the digital age. All great stuff. That just sounds good. Okay, so the next one is The Master of Verona by David Blixt. This is apparently a series, but it's the first in the series, and I don't usually like to dabble with series because because I can't commit, and it's intimidating. But this actually sounded really good. So it's a very short blurb too. In 1314, the exiled, now infamous poet Dante, who I do love me some Dante, and his two sons, 17-year-old Pietro Alighieri and his younger brother Jacopo, traveled to Verona at the invitation of its leader, the legendary Francesco Cagrande della Scala. I don't know if I said that right. Almost immediately, a sneak attack leads Pietro into his first battle. I read a better blurb somewhere else. Goodreads is not doing a great job on the blurbs, but it sounds intriguing. Okay. Next is The Lost World by Arthur Conan Doyle. I adore the Sherlock Holmes series, so I'm gonna give his other stuff a try. I don't know if I'm gonna like it though. I'm nervous. But The Lost World is a novel released in 1912 by Arthur Conan Doyle concerning an expedition to a plateau in South America where prehistoric animals, dinosaurs and other extinct creatures, still survive. The character of Professor Challenger, a little on the nose, was introduced in this book. Interestingly, for a seminal work of dinosaur-related fiction, the animals only occupy a small portion of the narrative. Much more time is devoted to a war between early hominids and a vicious tribe of ape-like creatures. So I'm kind of getting Planet of the Apes vibes, like the prequel to Planet of the Apes in a way. Also, just anything that's called dinosaur-related fiction written by Arthur Conan Doyle, at some point in my life, I'm going to have to read. So yeah, that is that one. And then the last one that I got in this haul is Romola by George Eliot, who I did not realize was a woman. It is a pen name. I didn't know. I've never read George Eliot. I've never discussed George Eliot in any of my English classes growing up. I had no clue. George Eliot is the author of Middlemarch, but this one came on sale, so this is the one I got. One of George Eliot's most ambitious and imaginative novels, Romola is set in Renaissance Florence during the turbulent years following the expulsion of the powerful Medici family, which I think a lot of people know at least a little bit about, during which the zealous religious reform, the devoted, let's just start from the top. One of George Eliot's most ambitious and imaginative novels, just going to keep going. Romola is set in Renaissance Florence during the turbulent years following the expulsion of the powerful Medici family, during which the zealous religious reformer Savonarola rose to control the city. At its heart is Romola, the devoted daughter of a blind scholar married to the clever but ultimately treacherous Tito, whose duplicity in both love and politics threatens to destroy everything she values. She must break away to find her own path in life. Described by Eliot as written with my best blood, the story of Romola's intellectual and spiritual awakening is a compelling portrayal of a utopian heroine played out against a turbulent historical backdrop. This actually does sound really interesting. The Renaissance and that era, I enjoy reading like historical fiction-ish about. So that is, there's a lot in this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 books for $28.90. We're not done yet. Next is Light Seekers by Femi Kayode. A Nigerian psychologist travels to a remote southern border town to uncover the truth about the murder of 3 university students in this original and fast-paced thriller. When Dr. Philip Taiwo is called on by a powerful Nigerian politician to investigate the public torture and murder of 3 university students in remote Port Harcourt, he has no idea that he's about to be enveloped by a perilous case that is far from cold. Philip is not a detective. He's an investigative psychologist, an academic more interested in figuring out the why of a crime than actually solving it. But when he steps off the plane and into the dizzying frenzy of the provincial airport, he soon realizes that the murder of the Okrikiri 3 isn't as straightforward as he thought. With the help of his loyal and streetwise personal driver, Chika, Philip must work against those actively conspiring against him to parse together the truth of what happened to these students. A thrilling and atmospheric mystery and unforgettable portrait of the contemporary Nigerian socio-political landscape, Light Seekers is a wrenching novel tackling the porousness between the first and third worlds, enduring strength of tribalism and homeland identity, and the human need for connection in the face of isolation. There's a lot in here that I'm interested in. I like the fact that it's set in Nigeria. I like the fact that it is by a Nigerian author. I like the fact that there's a mystery to it. I like the fact that this isn't necessarily a whodunit, but a why they did it. So obviously, to get to the why, you do have to figure out who did it, how they did it. And the fact that it was, because they call it the Okriki 3, it reminds me of, I don't want to get this wrong, so I'm actually going to look it up. Yeah, originally I want to say it was called the Central Park 5. They are now known as the Exonerated 5. This is a true wrongful prosecution and conviction of 5 young Black boys who, literal boys, not men, who were accused, prosecuted, and convicted of the murder of a white jogger in Central Park, New York. And it's horrific. It is a horrific case. What was done to these children is just completely unconscionable. And I'm glad that they are now being referred to as the Exonerated 5, because it finally did very definitively and clearly come to light that they were innocent the entire time. There was so much police misconduct. There was so much prosecutorial misconduct. There was so much vitriol from the community that it still needs to be unpacked. And this happened in the 1989, the late 80s, horrible case. There's something that gives me the same kind of vibes when I read The Light Seekers. Now, I don't know that this is going to be like a wrongful case, but I don't know what it is. There's something that feels similar or connected to me in some way. So I'm super, super curious about this. I think I first heard of this one from Jess on YouTube, who said it was I want to say it was one of the best books that they read it was for Blackathon. That's what it was. It was for Blackathon. They mentioned it, at least the one that I saw mentioned it during one of the live shows, the live reading sprints, I think. But they also mentioned it in a previous video about Black problematic authors, that really fascinating video, how people look at problematic Black authors versus problematic white authors, and that there's very little grace given to Black authors that are seen as problematic. But how fair is that? It's not fair. So they were describing this book in particular, and this is one of them that jumped out to me. So when this came up on sale, I was like, okay, I have heard of this book. I do want to get it. Okay, so 100 Years of Solitude. I got it for $15. Normally it's $22.95. It's not exactly what I would normally want to pay through Chirp, because now that I have Chirp, I'm super spoiled and this is like way too much money for me. But I really, really, really want to read 100 Years of Solitude this year, and I figured having the audiobook along with the physical copy that I have up on my shelf, I had to get it, and it was still kind of on sale. So I'm like, I need it. I need this in my life. All right, the next one that I got is Narcissus and Goldmund. This is the story of two medieval men whose characters are diametrically opposite. Narcissus is an ascetic monk, firm in his religious commitment, and Goldmund is a romantic youth hungry for knowledge and worldly experience. First published in 1930, Hesse's novel remains a moving and pointed exploration of the conflict between the life of the spirit and the life of the flesh, and it is a theme that transcends all time. Like I said, I love books about diametrically opposed things, and so this was very interesting to me. Then I have Anthem by Ayn Rand. I've already read it. The audiobook was on sale for $2. I really liked Anthem, so I had to grab it. And then Across the Nightingale Floor. This, I think, is also a series. Yeah, this is book 1 in a series of the Tales of Otori. This is by Leon Hearn. In his black-walled fortress in Inuyama, the warlord Iyada Sadamu surveys his famous Nightingale Floor. Constructed with exquisite skill, it sings at the tread of each human foot. No assassin can cross it unheard. First of all, you made a floor that sings, and that is to prevent assassins from walking on it. I'm sorry, I want to read it already. That is amazing. The youth Takeo had been brought up in a remote mountain village among the hidden, a reclusive and spiritual people who have taught him only the ways of peace. But unbeknownst to him, his father was a celebrated assassin and a member of the Tribe, an ancient network of families with extraordinary preternatural skills. When Takeo's village is pillaged, he is rescued and adopted by the mysterious Lord Otori Shigeru. Under the tutelage of Shigeru, he learns that he too possesses the skills of the tribe, and with this knowledge, he embarks on a journey that will lead him across the famed Nightingale Floor and to his own unimaginable destiny. Everything about that sounds so cool. So I had to get that one. All right, how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 books for $27.95. We're getting close. I know this is long. I told you, this is the haul. It's not my physical books. It's audiobooks anymore. Okay, The Subprimes by Carl Taro, depends. The Subprimes is in a future America that feels increasingly familiar. You are your credit score. Done, end of story. Social commentary, yes. If you're American, you hate credit scores. I don't care if you have a phenomenal credit score. You hate credit scores. Extreme wealth inequality has created a class of have-nothings, subprimes, also known as formerly the middle class, and lower class, first class, whatever, literally anybody but the ultra rich. They are the ultra rich. Their bad credit ratings make them unemployable. Jobless and without assets, they've walked out on mortgages, been foreclosed upon, and can no longer afford a fixed address. Fugitives who must keep moving to avoid arrest, they wander the globally warmed American wasteland searching for day labor and a place to park their battered SUVs for the night. This does not even feel like all that fictionalized. Trenchant satire follows the fortunes of two families whose lives reflect this new dog-eat-dog survival of the financially fittest America. Desperate for work and food, a subprime family has been forced to migrate east, hoping for a better life. They're soon joined on their odyssey by a writer and his family, slightly better off, yet falling fast. Eventually, they discover a small settlement of subprimes who've begun an agrarian utopia based on a foreclosed exurb? I wonder if that's an old suburb. Soon, the stability they have is threatened when their land is targeted by job creators for shale oil extraction. But all is not lost. A hero emerges, a woman on a motorcycle, suspiciously lacking a credit score, who may just save the world. Why does this feel like modern Grapes of Wrath? I don't know. I haven't even read Grapes of Wrath, but like I get Grapes of Wrath vibes from this. Next is Cleopatra. I got this because I was wrong. I thought this was Cleopatra: A Life, which was recommended by Emma from Emmy Reads. This is just a different one. Cleopatra, the Queen Who Challenged Rome and Conquered Eternity by Catherine Gregor. It's fine though, because I'm interested in learning more about Cleopatra. So this is just sort of a kind of a history-ish about it. The Mystery of the Blue Train by Agatha Christie. Again, it's a murder mystery. I'm not going to explain it. Also, I don't know and I don't want to look it up. Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman. I don't know what this is about. I also don't care what this is about. I have read two Neil Gaiman books so far, and I really liked both of them. It was Stardust and The Ocean at the End of the Lane. Really enjoyed them. I think anytime Neil Gaiman comes on sale in Chirp, I think I'm just gonna buy it because so far he's got a good track record. And it's, I don't know that he's like a 5-star. Like I think Ocean at the End of the Lane, I think I gave a 5-star. Stardust, I think I gave maybe closer to a 4. But I like his writing and I like the fantasy worlds that he builds because so much of it is rooted in the real world. I don't know what it is, but I like his mix of fantasy and the world we know. So yeah, so I picked up Neverwhere. Okay, About Time by Jodi Taylor. I didn't realize this was part of a series, and this is book 4 of a series. I probably should have paid a little bit closer attention, but to me it sounded like a standalone, so I ended up getting it thinking it sounded like a cool sci-fi. I'm probably still going to try it anyway. I don't think I'm going to try to go for the first book in the series. I don't know. After their heroic efforts to safeguard the Acropolis and prevent the Paris time stop, the Time Police have gone from 0 to hero in but a single bound. 0 to hero! 0 to hero! Just like that! Then one fateful mission to apprehend a minor criminal selling dodgy historical artifacts blows up in all of their faces. An officer is attacked within the TPHQ, a prisoner is murdered, and investigations are about to lead to the one place where no officer can legally tread. Worst of all, trouble is brewing for Team Weird as a surprise revelation tears the team apart. This just sounds good. Like, I don't even really care if it's if I like it, I'll probably get the rest of the series. But this just sounds good. Next is Island by Aldous Huxley. Aldous Huxley is, I think, most famously known for Utopia, which I own but I have not read. But this was on sale and it sounded interesting. Okay. The Island, his last novel. Huxley transports us to a Pacific island where, for 120 years, an ideal society has flourished. Inevitably, the island of bliss attracts the envy and enmity of the surrounding world. Conspiracy is underway to overtake Paula, and events begin to move when an agent of the conspirators, a newspaperman named Ferrenby, is shipwrecked there. What Ferrenby doesn't expect is how his time with the people of Paula will revolutionize his values and, to his amazement, give him hope. Huxley really wants Utopia. I mean, who doesn't want it, but it's not gonna happen. And then finally, the last book that I have in my book haul is People of the Book by Geraldine Brooks. I think a lot of people know what this one is about. This was pretty big when it came out. Inspired by a true story, People of the Book is a novel of sweeping historical grandeur and intimate emotional intensity by an acclaimed and beloved author. This ambitious, electrifying work traces the harrowing journey of the famed Sarajevo Haggadah, a beautifully illuminated Hebrew manuscript created in the 15th century in Spain. When it falls to Australian rare book expert Hannah Heath to conserve this priceless work, the tiny artifact she discovers in its ancient binding, a butterfly wing fragment, wine stains, salt crystals, a white hair, only begin to unlock the book's deep mysteries and unexpectedly plunges Hannah into the intrigues of fine art forgers and ultra-nationalistic fanatics. It just sounds good. I don't know what else to say. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 books, and this one for $28.93. That is the last of my audiobook haul. So let's do some stats. In total, from the end of February until the middle of April, I purchased 30 books. It was a total of $631.43 normally. I only spent $114.70, meaning I saved $516.73 on the totality of 30 books. That means that on average, each of these books would normally cost $21.05, and I spent $3.82. I love the service. I own so many audiobooks now, though. I don't know how I'm going to get to them all. I'm getting a little concerned, but that's not going to stop me from buying them. Anyway, that is my audiobook haul. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're interested, check out chirp.com. I think it's a phenomenal service. I absolutely love it. You basically go sign up on the website on an account, and you pick your genres that you like. You can also literally look up specific books and hit wish list. Then every day you will get a email from Chirp that will say, hey, these books are on sale. You might be interested in them because you like historical fiction. So there's this book. You might like this book because you are interested in sci-fi. You'll also get very specific emails to say, hey, a book you wish listed is now on sale. Their sales last, I don't know, I've never really looked. I think their sales last a couple of weeks though. So like if you don't get to it immediately, it's not like a 24-hour thing. You have some time to go back and actually make use of that sale. So you tap on it, you go to the website, you purchase it from the website, and then in the app, you download, it automatically tells your app of Chirp to download the book. So it's a little bit similar to Audible in that way, in that if you're actually purchasing like with money, you have to go to Audible's website. You can't purchase books through the Audible app. You can only apply credits there. So it's kind of similar in that way. Yeah, so if you're interested, go check them out. There's another service called BookBub, BOOKBUB, that is for ebooks specifically. So it searches for sales on ebooks from Apple Books, Kindle, Kobo, Nook. There might be one or two others. And so if you mark a book and it goes on sale, they'll send you an email and say, hey, this book is now available for 99 cents at, Apple and Amazon and Kobo. So anyway, those are my suggestions. Check them out if you want. Don't check them out if you don't want. I don't care. I'm not your mom. I'm going to get going. It is 7 p.m. almost, and I got to go back to the west side of Michigan tomorrow for the third time in 3 weeks. 4 weeks, maybe. I don't know. I'm not paying attention. I'm tired. Anyway, I hope you're doing well. I hope you're enjoying yourself. I hope you're taking care of yourself and taking care of others. I will see you in my next one.